this piece, the cello concerto, the F major string quartet, a couple of clunkers along the way. There's a piece called the American Flag you really don't want to hear. But what this did is it actually put a programmatic element into a symphony. That is this idea of longing, homesickness, that even though it follows a symphonic structure, there are moments that just don't seem like anything that happened before. As you point out, the big English horn solo in the slow movement, the unusual kind of ending that this piece has, almost episodic. So it truly, in language, wasn't like anything that had come before. Derek's piece, and Wendy's, falls into a different category because one thing that was missing in this country, much as we've been original in our musical output, just look at the 40s, Copland, Piston, William Schumann, Roy Harris, and the list goes on and on. Incredible time. What's missing from all of that is the choral statement. And it's really only been in the last 25, 30 years where composers have, one, been commissioned to, and two, created some astonishing works with chorus. John's El Nino would be a good example of that. Cordiano's Dylan Thomas trilogy, the Balkan Songs of Innocence and Experience, the Chris Rouse Requiem. These are all relatively recent. So what makes this piece different is, one, it's looking back to an early time in the history of our country and the city, but it's also bringing into play one of the oldest elements that most orchestras are founded on, choral music, but it's bringing it into the 21st century, a form that I don't think we've had nearly enough of in this country.
The question was, how did the crack come to represent a symbol of decay and rebirth? I think that writers tend to be very observant of the details. And I think a lot of times the symbol, the indications of rebirth are actually decay. You know, we see that in our gardens for sure. We see that, you know, in the seasons as they change. We see that in our families as we lose a member of our family, and you know, we regroup our families. So it's very difficult. Those moments are very difficult, but I think they're always with us. The crack for me was, you know, the opportunity to see something open up in the landscape. And of course, in buildings that are in bad shape, and I've lived in a lot of buildings that are in bad shape, the crack is something that you can't miss. So that's where it came from for me.
I was just in Brazil, and there was a beautiful church which I saw on the island of Itabarigo, which was a Portuguese colony, obviously a long time ago. And there was a church, about a 16th century church with trees growing around it and inside it. And you know, it was just like this strange beast that had been completely taken over by nature. Most of us have seen stuff like that when you see it in the city as things grow. Musically, you know, I saw this right away in the text, and I was very excited by the idea that Wendy had found the place from which we could grow again, because it's easy to talk about a rise and fall, but not the rise again. And Pittsburgh has risen again, and we also wanted to project hope. And so musically, it was just a matter of trying to find how to bring all these disparate elements together, and that's where I suppose things like leitmotif and drawing in parts of older movements into something that could move forward and bringing them back, looking back, you know, those were ways that I tried to take the material and move it toward the future. And you know, I think that, yeah, that is the transformative moment of the piece. So you said it
really well.